and gentlemen, your host for this afternoon's program, Jim LaBarbera.
When I was 10 years old, I saw a movie called Young Man with a Horn, and it was based loosely on the life of a jazz trumpet player by the name of Mix Beiderbecke. And when I saw that movie, it changed my life. I wanted to be a trumpet player. Doris Day from Cincinnati was in that movie, and the soundtrack was Harriet James, and Kirk Douglas was the star. And I got a newspaper around and bought a trumpet. Set a goal for myself. I was going to be first chair, first trumpet by my senior year in high school. And when I was in the 9th grade, I was first chair, first trumpet in the senior high school marching band and orchestra. And during the summer, for 2 years in high school, I studied music on a special scholarship at Carnegie Tech in Pittsburgh. And my heroes in music were Stan Kenton's band. I loved the music of Chet Baker and Clifford Brown. And I studied a lot, played every night, practiced for 3-4 hours a night. And at the age of 13, I was playing in bands all over the Pittsburgh area. And I went to a music store, and I loved Stan Kenton and Maynard Ferguson would hit these notes. I could hit a C, I could hit a D, I could touch an E, but I couldn't hang there. And he convinced me that I could buy a microphone like Maynard Ferguson. I'd be able to hit double A's and double B's. So I saved all my paper round money and bought that microphone and that mouthpiece. And years later, I'm on WLW radio with Maynard Ferguson. I said, Maynard, I bought that mouthpiece that you had to hit those high notes, double A, double B, double C, double D. He said, how did that work out for you? I said, it did not. And Doc Severson, for a number of years, was bugging me when to get my Block Stradivarius 1950s trumpet at Mount Vernon, and wanted to trade me one of his trumpets. And a great man in music world that I met was Tony Bennett. And Frank Sinatra had said for his money, Tony Bennett was the greatest singer in the world. And Tony Bennett, every year, for a number of years, would send a Christmas card in my name with a donation to a charity. And once I was interviewing Tony Bennett on my radio show, and while I was interviewing him, he was drawing a picture of me, and he signed it Anthony Benedito. I have so many memories when I was a kid playing the trumpet. I was just a teenager. It was raining. I remember the night it was raining, and I went to see Louis Armstrong. And after the show, he invited me back to his dressing room. There were a number of people in the dressing room, and they were telling good stories. And he said to me, he said, I understand you're a young hotshot trumpet player. He said, did you like my show tonight? And I said, well, it's great. It's terrific. And he said, well, I entertained you, but you entertained me. And Louis Armstrong handed me Sensible Hear Me his trumpet. And I sat there, I had his trumpet in my hands, and I played the keys a little bit, looked at it, and I handed it back. I said, I don't think so. I was so nervous. Well, tonight, being here this afternoon completes for me a circle. And it's a treat to be here with Cincinnati's greatest jazz musicians, because I put that horn down right before I graduated and I went back and picked it up. And it's a pleasure to be here. And right now I'd like to introduce you to the, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the center stage Kate Casey, the president of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame.
Kate Casey. It's wonderful to see everybody here again. It's exciting to have our 12th year, and we've got so many people to thank for this, especially this wonderful band with Carmen De Leon coming back and performing, and Jim LaBarbera. Most of us know him from rock and roll in the 50s eras. But we also have a wonderful board that's been doing this for all of us, 10 of us on the board, and 12 years, and nobody's been paid a penny. And each year we produce this wonderful program, and then throughout the year we've now been sponsoring these fantastic high school and college students. How many of you were at the reception? Weren't those students wonderful? Yeah, we've got 3 restaurants now where they can perform, which helps build their confidence and looks great on their resumes. But in addition to our board, we also have members, and the last page in your program is a membership application. I encourage all of you to become a member and help us keep this wonderful music alive. And you'll notice we usually have about 15 to 20 sponsors, local venues that are supporting our jazz efforts too. And we have advisors, tonight we have 4 wonderful inductees. We have 3 special recognition, and the special recognition, we decided to do that because there are so many people in our community who have helped the Cincinnati jazz community. They're not musicians, but they have gone out of their way now. Like Nick Clooney, he was our MC for the first 4 or 5 years. And then Dick Murgatroyd, he was our producer. And he was the producer of Ruth Lyon's show, if you remember that TV show. And last was Doug Lillibridge. Doug has a band called the Cincinnati Contemporary Jazz Orchestra, and he's also the executive producer for WLW. So we've got some wonderful, talented inductees, musicians and vocalists, to tell you their stories. And I hope that you enjoy this evening and do become members and support us. We need each one of you. We would love to have a brick and mortar. I met with Jim Tarbell. Everybody knows Jim Tarbell, right? With the stovetop hat and stuff. Anyway, he's talking about maybe getting a building and have it as the Cincinnati Music Museum, which I would love to do and get some of this stuff out of my house I've been collecting for 12 years. If you ever went to Sorrento's, do you remember that piano bar there? Baby grand piano and the keyboards and people, 10 bar stools, they would sit around and pretend to play the piano. It's in my house. That's the biggest thing I've got. I'll be 88 in 2 weeks, and I want to get this done before I die. So we may be calling on each one of you to help us put this together. We'd like to have an association of all of the different musics, the classical, the rock and roll, everybody, and put it together. So we'll see if Jim Tarbell can put it together. He's got a lot of friends. All right, without further ado, then I'll turn this back over to Jim LaBarbera. Thanks, everybody.
Melanie Sheff has been Marketing Promotions Assistant Director of Jazz Educational Programs, Jazz at Dusk. She's worked in the Marketing Communications Department as a journalist, news writer for the University of Cincinnati for the last decade, and over the last 45 years, Melanie's been busy raising 5 children, 2 of which got into the music world, professional musicians, one in New York as a jazz drummer, piano player, another student at CCM in commercial music production. Her late husband was a retired professor at the University of Cincinnati and played with many of the jazz musicians, close friendships with some of the legends of Cincinnati's jazz community. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Melanie Sheff.
Hi, I'm Melanie Sheff, and I have had the honor of being the Assistant Jazz at Dusk Director of Educational Programs for, like he said, the last 4 or 5 years. And it's been the time of my life. I didn't do any of this alone, though. I was on the heels of Sue Brown DeFore. She is the inspiration behind all of this, and she's watching us now. But she's in California with a couple of little minor health issues, so she wasn't able to get here this year, but I'm sure most of you out there know her. It was her brainchild that thought of this Jazz at Dusk program with these young high school kids that come from really robust jazz programs in schools around the tri-state area. And if you heard any of the music that was played right before this ceremony, you know what I'm talking about. Those were all alumni from the last 10 years, because we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary tonight. And we're dedicating it to Sue. And because she's the one who started it, hopefully she'll be back here next year. Thank you for that. So that she can get up here and talk to you a little bit more about the history of Jazz at Dusk. But we do have little offshoots of Jazz at Dusk. One is our scholarship program. For the last 10 years, we've been funded by the Elsa Heisel Sewell Foundation to help give these kids $1,000 a year scholarship to whatever college they're going to once they graduate. This year, we are now the beneficiary of the Don Steins Memorial Scholarship for our graduating seniors. So on behalf of Don Stein's family and the Memorial Scholarship and the Elsa Heisel Sewell Foundation, we are awarding $1,000 to J.J. Mangan, our star bass player. I'd like to introduce Ruth Cleet, who represents the Elsa Heisel Sewell Foundation, Donna Steins, who represents her father in the Don Steins Memorial Foundation, and J.J. Mangan. Come on out. On behalf of our funders, Don Steins Memorial, and Ruth Cleet with the Elsa Heisel Sewell Foundation, J.J. Mangan is now going off to college, $1,000, Richard. This organization wouldn't be what it is without the help that we have had for the last 10 years. We've had instrumental volunteers and supporters, but none like Esther Whitman, and I know she's here today. She helped negotiate with managers of venues all around town, getting our kids into these restaurants where they could play and perform. And she's always there supporting them and keeping things coordinated. So we could not have done this without you, Esther. A round of applause for Esther. I'd like to introduce Ruth Cleet now so she can tell you a little bit about the Elsa Heisel Sewell Foundation. Give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jazz Hall of Fame inductions. Elsa Sewell was a friend of many of the people involved in this great organization. And she loved the arts. So her foundation, the Elsa Sewell Foundation, supports education, community, and the arts. She herself was a singer. She studied opera at CCM, and her father introduced her to visual arts, and she had a great collection of fine artworks. She sang in many different choirs, choruses around town, and enjoyed every minute of it. She enjoyed working on the Ruth Lyons 50/50 Club and the Bob Braun Show, and met so many artists and performers. And I know this because I grew up around Elsa. My grandparents and her parents were neighbors in Covington, Kentucky, and my father was a lifelong friend of Elsa. So I went to the Ruth Lyons 50/50 Club quite often with my mother and grandmother. White gloves and all, you know, it was an experience. But Elsa loves education also. And she made sure during her life that many of her neighbors' children were able to further their education in various colleges around town. So supporting the Jazz Hall of Fame Scholarship Program is right with the heart and soul of Elsa and her foundation. And we are so happy that we are able to provide scholarships for the various students. And the idea came to us because Dick Murgatroyd, her close personal friend, was on our board for many years. And you know, his heart and soul is in this organization also. So thank you for supporting the Jazz Hall of Fame.
special recognition for a guy who did this for years and years and years. My old friend Nick Clooney, founding MC of the Jazz Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. He celebrated the legacy of jazz and artists over the years and does to this day. He comes from a family, of course, deeply rooted in jazz. His sister is Rosemary Clooney. His son is George Clooney, the star of motion pictures and a film director, filmmaker. And Nick's career began when he was like 16 years old, working as a disc jockey, and then that evolved into hosting a teen dance party, and then became an anchor for a television station in town here, Channel 12, that was like the flat out bottom of all the ratings. And through his guidance as the news director and the primary anchor, just took that thing to #1 and held #1 for years and years in Cincinnati. And then went on to become nationally known as the host of American movie classics AMC, and then he, from that, created and hosted Behind the Screen, exploring the history of film that was on the network. And he's a legendary broadcaster, journalist, television host. Career spanned more than 5 decades, Nick Clooney, and he's maintained a long presence also in printed journalism with the Cincinnati Post, the Kentucky Post. And his honors, to go through the list of honors that Nick Clooney's had over the years, honored with multiple Emmy Awards for commentary, historical narration, inductions into the Cincinnati, Kentucky, Ohio Journalism Hall of Fame, awarded an honorary doctorate in fine arts from Northern Kentucky University, and his enduring commitment to storytelling, and whether it's news, film, or music, reflects a dedication to preserving and elevating the American artistic experience, especially in our Cincinnati area. On behalf of Nick Clooney, a Cincinnati icon herself, Emmy award-winning performer who has shared the stage and her talents with the Tri-State for over 3 decades, going back to those days on the Bob Ron show, back in 1974 when we first saw her on television here in Cincinnati, and as a radio personality for a number of years on WSAI. Please welcome Nancy James.
Hello, everybody. What an honor it is for me to accept this on behalf of my friend Nick Clooney. He's been a friend my entire career, so it's an honor for me. He is the consummate communicator, if there ever was one, a journalist, anchorman, radio personality, TV host, politician, author. He is a wordsmith. And yet, when my husband and I went to visit him at his home in Augusta, and I asked him how I should respond to this honor that you're all bestowing on him this afternoon, he simply said to say, "Thank you." Really? I laughed too. He went on to say, though, that throughout his music, throughout his career and life, music was always the center of it. That he was surrounded by some of the greatest jazz performers, and he learned so much. As a matter of fact, he told me something about himself that I did not know. Nick Clooney is a singer. Something when he was growing up, every Sunday afternoon, everybody in his family would sing, and Rosie always said that he was the best. Even Ruth Lyons would insist that he would sing. Her favorite song for him to sing to her and for the audience was Glacamora. And when he told me that, he just broke out in song and started singing Glacamora to Bill and I know, I cried like a baby. He told us he thought that the highest compliment someone could give is that you're a good man. And he said, if someone said that about me, I'd have known that I've done the right thing. Well, my friends, Nick Clooney deserves this honor of recognition for so many of his achievements, not the least of which, indeed, is that he is a good man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. Another special recognition goes out to the founding producer of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, former board member of the Jazz Hall of Fame, Dick Murgatroyd. He moved to our region to become the producer for the Ruth Lyons television show, and then later, of course, the Bob Ron television shows in all those different markets that EPCO had. And he produced a number of national sporting events, Kentucky Derby, and I remember him going on the Reds, promoting the Reds, doing production for the Reds for a number of years back in the 70s and 1980s. And he was a founding member. What he did was, at Northern Kentucky University, he created that school of media and communication and really made it happen. Stayed there and created that thing. Took him a dozen years and still is involved in that. Spends a lot of time still serving the university, and it's won numerous awards from the university. President's Council, he was on that. NKU Foundation Board, it's on that now. Emeritus. Nonprofit boards, we're talking about Elsa Sewell, the foundation, as a program chairman for the Northern Kentucky Heritage League, and Merck's been recognized for his excellence. A number of awards, a 1999 NKU Lincoln Award, a 1979 Emmy Award for his work as a producer of a regional network television program, 2006 Silver Circle Award for the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, just to name a few of his accolades. Ladies and gentlemen, a special recognition to the founding producer of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Dick Murgatroyd, and accepting on behalf of Merg, the producer of the popular Ira Joe Fisher TV show back in the days on Channel 12. And at the Hall of Fame, she's, of course, better known as Dick Murgatroyd's assistant producer for all those years. And Merg was here, his right-hand man, right-hand person over all those years. Please welcome Amanda Hurlebrink.
Sorry. Thank you, Jim, for that wonderful introduction about Dick. I am pleased to be here for my friend, Dick Murgatroyd, or Murg to his many, many friends. He sends his regrets of not being able to be here, but is honored to receive this special recognition award. As many of you know, Dick's professional career has been expansive for producing television programs, teaching broadcasting, where he helped establish the Northern Kentucky Broadcasting School, to his many roles in state politics in Kentucky. But he is widely known also for his many charitable endeavors on both sides of the river. And as Jim has mentioned before, I won't repeat all those again because it's a big long list. This is one of his favorites, the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame. Merck has always been generous with his time and believes in volunteering and offering his expertise as well as giving back to his community. That is the core of who Dick Murgatroyd is. Dick has been an inspiration and role model in this regard to me. And I've been very lucky to have been alongside of him during so many of his nonprofit adventures and events. So it's only natural that after he met the amazing co-founders of Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, KKC and Sue Brown, he was happy to join the board, and for a number of years, as Jim mentioned, was the producer of this yearly induction program. Merg's love of jazz music, of performers, musicians, and singers, and his love of history of Cincinnati music and Cincinnati area in general made it a perfect match. Before I close, Merv wanted me to make sure that I let you all know how much he loves and cherishes all the friendships that he had made through the Hall of Fame. And he's very happy that he was able to be a part of celebrating jazz music in the Cincinnati area. So in following Dick's past strict producing protocols to keep this program short and on time, I'll quickly close and thank you all again for including my friend Dick Murgatroyd for the special recognition. Thank you again.
Our first inductee into the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame 12th induction class is Mr. Lau, Dean Bill Matthews. Bill Matthews, composer, pianist, teacher, author, Bill Matthews. Born in Cincinnati, a graduate of Walnut Hills High School. He's 6 years old. He began studying the piano. His recording career began in the 1970s on his own record label, Cold Mountain Music. He composed, recorded solo piano works, chamber pieces, choral music, author of 4 books on music theory and how to live a musical life. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to the late 1950s, early 1960s. Here's Bill Matthews. Bill Matthews spent several years arranger, composer for, I mentioned Stan Kenton before, he was with Stan Kenton, Duke Ellington's orchestra. Stan Kenton's album, if you look it up, Standards in Silhouette, consists entirely of Bill Matthews' arrangements showcasing this young 22-year-old guy from Cincinnati. Bill Matthews, a talented manipulator of compositional materials. This was an incredible accomplishment for a kid who's like 22 years old. And he was one of the founders and musical directors for the Second City in Chicago, the first ongoing improvisational theater troupe in the United States, and then was later the musical director for the Committee at Improvu Theater Group in San Francisco. This was an offshoot of Second City. Now, Second City, Second City, we talk about improvisation. This was the starting point for Joan Rivers, Alan Alda, Bill Murray, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Chris Farley, Mike Myers, Tina Fey. We could go on and on. It was like the absolutely the incredible place to be. And Bill went on to be on the faculties of San Francisco's Conservatory of Music and Mills College. And today he devotes himself to practice, performance, recording, composition, teaching, and writing from his home in California. Ladies and gentlemen, our first inductee into the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame's 12th induction class, Mr. Lau, Dean Bill Matthews.
Thank you. Thank you all. Look what I got. That'd be me, see? I'm 88 years old. That's a lot of years. I just happen to be a year old for every key on the pianoforte. Think about that. I was born here. That's kindergarten at Kennedy Silverton School. That's Walnut Hills High School, grade 7. That's the University of Chicago when I was 17. Stan Kenton, Duke Ellington. Oh gosh, it goes on. San Francisco. And here I am at 88. And when you get old, like me, honors do accrue. Nothing like when you died, there are more, but the honors do accrue. But I'll tell you, there's no honor quite like the recognition of being honored by your hometown. So I'm so thankful for the people at the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame and for everybody else who's in the jazz community there. It's an honor that runs very deep. Believe me, thank you. I am, it seems, a collection of teachers that have taught me. Most notably, a man named Buddy Hiles, a jet black man from Cincinnati. He was the prince of the ghetto of Cincinnati at 6th and Mound. He had the jazz big band, and he took me on at age 13 thanks to the encouragement from my dad, who was a publisher and somehow found Buddy Hiles for me. His full name was Walter Buddy Hiles, and he was a great alto player in the tradition of Bird and Johnny Parker, and they had a wonderful big band, and he really taught me. He taught me what I really wanted to hear when I was listening to jazz. How do you do that? And to the best of his ability, he showed it to me, and the members of his band accepted me without condition. And it was a very wonderful education, perhaps my best. He wasn't much honored by the general population in Cincinnati at that time, and he's long gone. All of the people I'm about to thank are gone, but he's greatly honored by me, and I need to say that I honor him still. I'd like to mention R. Earl Snap. You cannot make up a name like that. He was the he was the director of Walnut Hills High School band and orchestra. He's a very encouraging man. I just want to thank him. I went to Chicago. I studied with Bill Russo, who had just gotten off the Kenton Band, and he taught me big band writing technique. He taught me a great deal. I went to the University of Chicago for over 4 years, got my degree there, and they taught me how to think and how to write, and that came in real handy later on. I did get a job with Stan Kenton, who finally, after my persistence through my teenage years, did hire me. And he showed me, he and the guys in his band, monster players, wonderful players. They showed me that what they were doing was a very big world, but it was inside an even bigger world. And I got to see the United States. We were on the bus half the time, and I was writing, and I thank him very much. Maybe the most generous teacher I've ever had was Duke Ellington, who was an illuminated man, and he fixed me up. It's hard to say any other way. He straightened me out. I wrote some horrible music for the band, and then he just let me talk, and he listened, and then he suggested, why don't you arrange some of our own pieces? That we're tired of our arrangements, make you do arrangements. And I finally listened to the band and really heard it and realized it's a collaborative enterprise. We were all in it together, and he recorded them. And guess what? It was a collaboration. It was fabulous. Okay, he was my great teacher. Thanks to Easley Blackwood, who taught me figure bass and Eurocentric harmony, taught me classical music. Thanks to Chicago's Second City, where I worked, and the great maven who was in Backward, Viola Spolin, who invented all those theater games that are now being taught in your community college and universities, and is responsible for all the stand-up improv stuff that's going on in the world right now. And Fred Kaz, fabulous pianist from Chicago, taught me two-hand coordination, which I'll never forget and thankful for forever. Thanks also to Gene Lees and to Dom DeMichael, who were editors at Downbeat at that time, and they let me, young kid, just was 23 years old, 24 years old, write for the magazine. I wrote criticism and profiles. And somebody just sent me a long interview that was published that I did with Milford Graves, the drummer, and he was 25 at the time. I think it was 33, and I was amazed by the refinement of that conversation. It was fabulous. I would like to thank my Sufi teacher, Sam Lewis, who opened me in another entirely way. Him and maybe Duke were my primary teachers that way. And for a quarter century, I studied with Pandit Pranath. That's a North Indian great man of music, of singing, and I studied raga with him, and he taught me the deep truth of being in tune. Thanks also to Hamza Eldin from Nubia, taught me the peace of the Nile and the wisdom of being in the world He's a great oud player, a great singer, and my friend for 30 years. I want to thank my publishers of my books, Shambhala, Inner Traditions, and Terra Nova Press. And I want to thank my 3 daughters, Athena, Lucy, and Amy, for grounding me onto this planet, keeping me from floating away into the music forever. I don't know how successful they've been. And most of all, I'd like to thank my angel and savior and partner for 44 years, that's Davey. And now, thank you all for listening, and I have 4 minutes to play for you, and that's what I'm going to do.
listening to Bill, Kim and Dan, and the timeline would have been the right timeline. Because when I was a kid in Pittsburgh growing up, my buddy Archie and I. The Kenton Band came to town in Pittsburgh. We were there hanging out with the musicians, and when they were on breaks, bugging them about, what did you do, how'd you do that, where'd you do that? So I may have met him years and years ago. Kathy Wade, vocalist, our second inductee into the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame's 12th induction class. Kathy Wade's voice has been a defining presence in Cincinnati's jazz landscape for more than 5 decades, and a Withrow High School alum, graduate of Xavier, Edgecliff College, and the University of Cincinnati's Conservatory of Music. Her voice rooted in rich soul and unmistakably her own voice. Two-time regional Emmy Award-winning executive producer, internationally acclaimed jazz vocalist. She's carried that Cincinnati sound to stages all around the world. Kathy shared those stages with legends, Eartha Kitt, Dionne Warwick, Nancy Wilson, Anita Baker, George Benson, Al Jarreau, Whitney Houston, Ramsey Lewis, and others. She's a featured vocalist with the Cincinnati Pops Orchestra, Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra, Kentucky Symphony Orchestra. She got great reviews for her work in Cincinnati's Playhouse. Maybe you caught her in Michigan Haven or Beehive. And she's named the #1 jazz and blues vocalist on mp3.com. Her Time to Say Goodbye was the #1 hit on the jazz vocal charts. And offstage, Kathy Wade co-founded Learning Through Art, which has built the community through art and impacted over 1 million participants for more than 2 decades. And she's a creator and executive producer of the national award-winning and multiple regional Emmy-winning performing arts literacy program Boots Alive for Kids. Learning Through Art anchors Kathy's belief in giving back to the community, and she has done that. Ladies and gentlemen, our second inductee into the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame's 12th induction class, Kathy Wade. To present the award, the president of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, Kay Casey.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Let me put this down. Gotta hold it together so I don't lose my lashes. My makeup artist, Katrina Mitchell, will have to come back up here and put them up. Okay. I have stood on a lot of stages in my life. I have shared a bill with some of the most extraordinary artists this world has ever known. I have sung for thousands of people across this country and around the world. And I must tell you, right now, in this room, in this city, with all of you, I am speechless. And if you know me, you know that doesn't happen very often. I want to first honor the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame for what this represents. In 2015, a dedicated group of local jazz lovers decided that Cincinnati's extraordinary jazz story, our rich, deep, undeniably musical history, deserved to be told, celebrated, and preserved. Not just for us, but for every young student who picks up a horn or sits at a piano and wonders if Cincinnati has a place for them. That's a beautiful thing, and they definitely do. And now I'm proud to be part of that legacy. I can't remember a time when jazz was not in my life. Our family represents 4 generations right here in Cincinnati. My parents, Marshall Wade and Jeanette Wade, didn't just love music. They gave it to us like they gave us food and warmth and love. 6 children. And they made sure all of us were immersed. I'm so grateful that my brother Sylvester and his wife Lynette are here today because they know. They know what our home sounded like. They know what it meant. By the time I was 8 years old, I could match Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross note for note. I could feel the sadness Billie Holiday carried in her voice like it was my very own. I could tell a story the way King Pleasure told a story, with every syllable meaning something. I clapped to the syncopation of Dave Brubeck, took flight on the driving force of Count Basie's big band with Joe Williams howling the blues, then turned around and sat in gentle innocence of Nancy Wilson. And when Ella Fitzgerald decided to burn down the walls, I was right there with her, on fire. From Moody to Miles, Coltrane to Thelonious, Nina to Carmen, Shirley Horn to Sheila Jordan to Dakota Staton, that was my education. That was my preparation. And oh, it was a close run with Motown. I won't lie to you, but jazz won. Jazz always wins. Today, I am humbled beyond words. I am grateful beyond measure. And I want to take a moment to say thank you to the people who made this journey possible. And this I'm gonna try to get through. To my family, my mom, my dad, Cheryl, Pete, Bruce, Bill, and Marion, thank you for holding me up. To my late husband, Dan Jenkins, whose love and belief in me gave me the wings to truly take flight. Dan, this one is for you. To my daughter, Carlin Wade Richardson, who's been flying alongside her mommy and her very busy mind while becoming a woman of remarkable stature, and I am so proud of who you are. To Glenda, my roomie, to Laura, my producing partner, to the extraordinary team at Learning Through Art, to Catherine, Kelly, Carissa, Coggins, and Scott, and to every musician, writer, arranger, engineer, producer, creative, and dear, dear friends who are here tonight in this room today. You are the reason I keep singing, producing, and opening community doors and pathways through the vehicle of art. And most of all to anyone who has ever supported a program, attended a performance, brought their children, brought their parents, sat in the seat, and been kind enough to listen. You are not just the audience. You are the reason. You have always been the reason. From the very bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Jazz taught me that the most powerful thing you can do is show up fully, with your whole self, your whole story, your whole heart, and offer it to the room. Cincinnati has given me a lifetime of reasons to show up fully, and I intend to keep doing exactly that. Now, would you like to listen? Yeah. Here we go, gentlemen. Don't you just love that shoe? Come on, baby. Don't you love the shoe? Yeah. I can't hear you. It's not the pale that excites me, and the reals and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this elation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. When I'm in your arms and I feel you so close to me, my wildest dreams come true with you. I need which is the blues. This is a song called Spice of Life. It's all about love and food. Listen closely. This is by Ted McConnell, Bill Cunliffe, and Kathy Ray.
Bill Jackson, bass player, our third inductee in the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame's 12th induction class. Bill Jackson has also shared the stage with a variety of national players, including the pianist Les McCann, Gru Miller, saxophonist Steve Wilson, Javon Jackson, steel drum greats Ray Holman, Tom Miller. Been featured with composer, percussionist Roland Vasquez and his work, music for Three Mallets and jazz rhythm section. He's played bass on several national recordings. His theater credits include Wicked, Mean Girls. He's performed on stage with Joe Piscopo, Regis Philbin, and Don Rickles. His education started in music in Napoleon, Ohio, and continued through childhood in Indiana, and learned the guitar and the piano from siblings, and then took up the bass to fill a hole in the family's music group, and he played trumpet in the high school band, and then was recruited to join the jazz band on bass. Went to study music at Indiana University, Purdue University, spent a semester at Berklee College of Music in Boston, and that was pivotal in his understanding of jazz harmony. And he completed his music degree. Opportunities arose when he came to Cincinnati in 1986 to play with different bands. At that time, his interest in a wide variety of music styles helped him out: jazz, standards, fusion, Latin, Caribbean, as well as the Broadway musicals and Vegas-style shows, all part of his repertoire. Phil has mentored a lot of young bass players over the years, and appeared on the staff at Northern Kentucky University in the jazz department for well over a decade. And we were talking before about when he's relaxing, he likes to ride his British motorcycle, the back roads on two wheels around the Cincinnati area. Ladies and gentlemen, our third inductee into the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame's 12th induction class, Bill Jackson, and to present the award, the president of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, Kay Casey.
Thank you very much. This is quite an honor. I'd like to say thank you to Jim LaBarbera, our MC, and also to Kay Casey and all the leaders of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame for this honor. I'd also like to say thanks to my family. They're down here. My wife, Angie, my daughter, Anna, my son, Sam, his wife, Skylar. They're all with me today. And to my siblings and in-laws who came to help us celebrate. I can't believe it's been 40 years since I moved to this area from Fort Wayne, Indiana. It was a great move for me. There were and so many great musicians here. I love being around the elder statesmen. They taught me a lot. I also loved playing with the younger players who are continuing the quality of jazz we've become accustomed to here. Being as a musician is not for everyone, but I can't imagine doing anything else. I'll add that in all of the various musical situations I find myself in, I am a sideman. And I like that. I try to be at the right place, at the right time, literally and musically. I'm thankful to the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame for recognizing this sideman today. So let's get to some music. We're gonna play a few selections for you. I'd real briefly like to introduce the guys that are playing with me. First of all, on piano, a member of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, also the founder of the Psychoacoustic Orchestra, Mr. Pat Kelly. Also joining me tonight on drums, one of the swingin'est drummers in town. Everybody knows him. He plays with everybody. And he plays in the Bluest Big Band, taking over for the great John Marlowe. So on drums tonight, Mr. Jim Leslie. We're going to play three selections for you. The first one's just going to be a good old good one. It's called When Lights Are Low. And for those keeping score, we're going to play the original Benny Carter Bridge, which Miles didn't do. Next, we're going to play a tune by one of my favorite bass players, Steve Swallow. It's called Falling Grace. And then we'll end with a Pat Metheny composition, a lesser known piece. It's called For 1,000 Years. Thanks again for this honor. I hope you enjoy the selections and support live music.
Jackson. Joe Jackson. Jimmy Madison. Jimmy Madison, drummer, our fourth inductee into the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame induction class. Jimmy Madison was a leader, big band leader, co-leader one time in his career, and managed a couple of quintets. And said, no, his first love, though, is to be a sideman, propelling the group du jour to an exciting performance, and he has indeed done that over the years. Jimmy's worked on the record, on the road, or in concert with the creme de la creme of jazz and in the funk world, including Rashawn Roland Kirk, a guy I talked about earlier, Chet Baker, shared some Chet Baker stories with me. Dr. Lonnie Smith, Lee Konitz, Nina Simone, Carmen McRae, Mark Murphy, Tom Paxton, Bobby Hackett, James Brown, Jack McDuff, Maceo Parker, George Benson, Tony Bennett, Ron Carter, Art Farmer, the trumpet player, Duke Ellington Orchestra, the great Quincy Jones, to name a few. And Jimmy's appeared in concert with the Joffrey Ballet, the LA Symphony, the French National Orchestra, Pittsburgh Pops, and others. Born in Cincinnati to a musical family, Jimmy started banging on his high chair in time. He was 2 years old, and when he was 14, I was thrown out of a Cincinnati Jazz Club, and he'd been playing for a year and a half, and I guess somebody discovered maybe this kid with pimples was not exactly an adult, so he got kicked out. But then 19 years old, he lands his first road gig with trumpeter Don Golding out of Miami. He's 19 years old, and 2 years later they go to the world famous Metropole, that's in New York City and Manhattan, great jazz place. Lionel Hampton's orchestra sharing the stage with them, and one thing led to another, and a few months later, Jimmy Madison ends up with Ham's band. And that led to Jimmy moving from Cincinnati to permanently live in New York City, and his first real gig, this was 1969, in New York, was with the great Marion McPartland. And he's also an expert recording engineer. His Garden Productions recording studio is known for its amazing sound quality. Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth inductee into the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, 12th induction class, Jimmy Madison, and to present the award, the president of Jazz Hall of Fame here in Cincinnati, Kay Casey.
This is beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. And it's been a long time. It's good to visit the Queen City again after all these years. Since I left Cincinnati and moved to New York in 1969, a lot has happened, and I have been lucky enough to work with some of the giants of jazz, like Rashawn Roland Kirk, George Benson, Art Farmer, Nina Simone, Joe Farrell, James Brown, Quincy Jones, and many, many others, and got to travel the globe on somebody else's dime. But it all started here in Cincinnati, and it is a great, great honor to be feted by the people that I came from here in Cincinnati. I'm not going to talk too much, I'd rather play, so for my acceptance speech I would like to simply list the names of a few of the musicians I grew up with here, like DeFelice, drummer DeFelice, Frank Vincent, pianist, Jack Prather, bassist, Lee Stoller, pianist, Amanda Ambrose, David Matthews, Carmen De Leon, and the band, Michael Moore, Cal Collins, Slim Jackson. I can go on and on, but I won't. You older folks here might remember these names. These people and others were the people that taught me really how to play this music. And Last September, I published my autobiography, Drummer Boy, My Life Playing for the Greats of Jazz and Funk, with a little mountaineering on the side. Yes, I was a mountain climber and a mountaineer for over 45 years, and have climbed in the French Alps, in the Himalayas, Japan, and of course, all over the United States. The book is equally divided between music and mountains, with many historic and personal photographs of my travels. Your program contains my website, drummerboyjimmymadison.com, if you are interested in purchasing the book or for more information. Okay, so much for the promo. I'd like to thank Kay Casey, founder of and chairperson of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, and the other board members for this recognition. And I'd also like to deeply thank Dan Dawson, who's here in the audience, who is my childhood friend and is my biggest fan and the chronicler of my doings over the years. He's here tonight, and who has single-handedly actually made this award happen. I didn't even know there was a Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, and he called and they said, you should have him on here. After 4 years or so, it finally happened, and I'm so happy that it finally did. What else can I say? Like I said, I'd rather play than talk. So thank you all for being here. You made my day. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play with the rhythm section of the band, and we're going to play the old standard I Hear a Rhapsody. And then we're going to play a great tune by Charlie Parker with the band called Sandu. So let's let the music roll.
Oh good, there's a copy of the book here. Hello everybody. It's so wonderful that you're here, that you are here tonight, and it's terrific for me to have my old friend Jimmy Madison to accept this induction. Finally you'll get to hear a real drummer there on stage. He's just fantastic and always has been. Is there an image up on the wall right now of a band somehow? Is it there? Yeah. Okay, good. The reason I'm here at the microphone because I wanted to mention something about that photograph to you. That was taken somewhere around 1960, whatever. And it is kind of the beginnings of this band that you see in front of you today. And over on the right-hand side, you see a foot on the floor. That's the foot of Gordon Brisker, one of the first inductees in the first class here. Next to Gordon in that photo, coming from the right over to the left, is the wonderful Joe Gaudio, who, oh no, that's Mike Andrus, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Mike. At any rate, then the next, also an inductee into the Hall of Fame. Next to him, Mike Andrus or Joe Gaudio, I forget the order right now. And then you'll see a bass player. That's Michael Moore as a young man who just out of high school when he played with the band. Then there's some guy with dark black hair sitting at the drums. And then next to him, if you can see a little person sitting next to the drum set, he's just waiting for me maybe to get up and play some French horns so that he'll have a chance to play the drums the way they should be played. And that is Jimmy Madison. So we go way back as you can see. I forgot one person in that photo playing baritone saxophone before you see Michael Moore is Larry Dixon. Larry Dixon's also a inductee into the Hall of Fame, and he's sitting right there waving at you right now. Larry has been with this band for almost 60 years, so enjoy him and delight in the wonderful sounds of Jimmy Madison. Thanks again for being here.
Madison. Can we hear it for Jimmy Madison? And a big studio band.
I want to thank Carmen and the band guys, the cats, for letting me sit in with them. They're a great band.
Special recognition for Doug Lillibridge, founding producer, the Jazz Hall of Fame, as a dedicated board member of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame. He helps organize the annual induction ceremonies, works hard to preserve the region's rich jazz heritage, hosts a weekly radio program, the Hall of Fame, and he's a leading advocate, a jazz advocate. He's a media executive, educator. His work has made a lasting impact in our area and widely recognized by the moniker he has, Jazz Guy. And he's maintained at the same time a presence in the broadcasting industry and journalism. Professionally, Doug serves as executive producer at WKRC Television, Local 12. He's built a respected career in television news and plays a pivotal role in several of Cincinnati's most important jazz institutions. Doug is board president of the Cincinnati Contemporary Jazz Orchestra. He oversees fundraising and efforts and enhances the organization's national profile. Trained musician himself, remains deeply connected with the art form he promotes. He's a familiar face at local venues, documents his performances, and shares the ongoing story of jazz through photography and social media. His commitment ensures that Cincinnati's jazz tradition not only endures, but continues to thrive for the future generations. To present his award, the president of the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, Kay Casey.
This is really very, very nice. Thank you to the Hall of Fame. I want to thank my CCJO board members who came here tonight to join me with this. And I also need to say that to be mentioned in the same breath as Mert or Nick is heady stuff. They are legends in my business, and I have not yet achieved legendary status. So that's very, very nice, very, very kind, and probably a bit premature, but I'll take it anyway. This music, I'm a jazz nut, and anybody who knows me very well will attest to that. And I love this city. So the two things together are the top of the heap for me. My more active role in being involved with jazz institutions in this city has afforded me the privilege of getting to know most of these cats and a lot more where they came from. And not only do I get to know them and honor them and salute their music, but having their friendship is one of the greatest honors of my life, and I mean that sincerely, fellas. Finally, I need to point your attention to something, and that is something that the guy who works on it works very, very hard on it, and that's the community jazz calendar. You'll find it at cincinnatijazz.org. It will tell you where these guys and many more are playing every night, and if you would do me this small favor, when you go to it, and you see where you're going, take someone with you who maybe isn't as familiar with the music, maybe somebody under 40, and watch them flow. I do this all the time, and it's great to, I am absolutely evangelical about this music, and to see people, especially younger people, appreciate this music, experience it live, and watch their preconceived notions about what this music is explode and really get into it. That's where the gravy is, folks. And I hope you will accept that challenge. And thank you very much to the Hall of Fame.
Doug is one of the really good guys, and we were asked to maybe play a little something in his honor after his induction, and that's what we're going to do right now. I called him a week or so ago, and a couple weeks ago, and asked if he had any preference, and he said he just remembers what John Von Olen told him, that in order to swing, it just needs to be a shuffle. So I looked all over for something we could shuffle for him, and this piece kind of shuffles a little bit, and it's fitting because the tune is "There'll Never Be Another You," which applies to Mr. Lillibridge. And also, if you spell "you" a different way, like E-W-E, then you'll know why Dave Matthews called his arrangement of "There'll Never Be Another You" as the Shepherd's Lament. Here it is.
Carmen De Leon, former Cincinnati treasurer, original conductor. Carmen De Leon does a radio show. I'm on WDJL. I do the afternoon show in the afternoon. But Carmen does the Sunday morning music hall. He has done that for years and years and years. And so this group we got together, back in '67, and we've just over the years accumulated the great jazz musicians in Cincinnati. I mentioned when I started that I put down that horn when I was 17 years old, and I never wavered though from my love for jazz music, and I was really honored to be invited to be here tonight. It's been a great honor to share the stage with the illustrious four inductees and of course the fabulous musicians sitting behind me. It's been a treat to be here tonight, and now once again some closing remarks. Thank you all for coming tonight, or this afternoon. And closing remarks from the president of Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame, Kay Casey.
Well, how did we do this year? Two things I wanted to mention. Will the board and the inductees and the special recognition and scholarship winner please stay afterwards? We like to do a photograph of the group here on stage. And also, I wanted to ask Melinda Craig to come up on the stage. Liam is her son, and he's the one that's been doing all the lighting. Can you come up? Melinda, is she still in the back? You know, the producers never get any recognition. And I was just saying that to Doug, who was our producer for a number of years. I just wanted to have the pleasure of calling you up and telling you what a wonderful program you put together these 2 years. It's just been fantastic. And for all of that hard work, we have a goodie bag with Hall of Fame stuff in it. So please give her a round of applause. This lady did a wonderful job. Okay, we're going to send you home and with lots of good thoughts. And if any of you have any ideas about a brick and mortar that we can get started on, or people that have had that kind of experience of putting those things together, we'd really like to take a run at it and get that stuff out of my house. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Be safe. Go home. Please support jazz in Cincinnati. You know, there's lots of good restaurants where you can go out to eat, but go out to the ones that have jazz. I mean, look at this new North Star. Even Carmen De Leon is going to be playing there on Tuesday, playing his drums on the 30th. And so go out and patronize those wonderful restaurants that have our jazz people. So thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll see you next year, if not before.